Hi, and welcome to Come Alive with us. Today we have Alyssa and Mariano, and we go back to our days in New York where we both worked at a small firm. Alyssa is now a co founder and CEO, so I'm very excited to have her on and hear a little bit more about her experience. Alyssa, thank you so much for joining. If you could just give our listeners a little bit of background, that would be awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me and great to see you again. I'm Alyssa. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a startup called Pazara. We are based in the Middle East, in the UAE, specifically between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and it's a peer-to-peer marketplace for secondhand fashion. It's essentially kind of similar to Poshmark or Depop, but specifically for the Middle East. We launched in early 2021 in the UAE, and we have over 30,000 registered users, over 55,000 live listings listed on the app. We raised a small pre-seed round last year, and we're raising another fundraising round this year. And we have a team of about 5 team members right now. We are looking forward to launching soon in Saudi and Egypt later this year as well. Fingers crossed everything goes according to plan, and we're launching an exciting new rebrand soon as well. So exciting things.
Wow, that is amazing. So many updates coming along your way, and that's just incredible that you're launching in new markets and just the success you've seen so far.
Yeah. It's definitely like it's super different to the US, obviously, especially when you're entering new markets here. They're not only new markets, they're new countries with different rules and regulations. So you have to really like stay on top of everything that's going on in every single one of these countries. And a lot of things are changing super quickly as well because these countries are growing at a really rapid pace. So it's definitely keeps me on my toes.
Yes, that's such a good point. You really have to follow it closely, and wow, that's amazing. Well, congratulations. So proud of you. That's incredible. Awesome. Well, let's start out with the lightning round, just a few questions to get a little background about yourself, and then we'll dive into some of the deeper questions if that works with you.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Okay, so first and foremost, name a book or resource that has had a profound influence on your leadership approach.
Good question. I think one that comes to mind that I read recently, it's called The Comfort Zone. It's kind of about how everyone always preaches about getting out of your comfort zone and how you need to really grow to get out of your comfort zone to grow. This book actually focuses on actually staying within your comfort zone or expanding your comfort zone to reach more success because if you're comfortable, you actually work better and more efficient. So it talks about actually expanding your comfort zone rather than getting out of your comfort zone. So then you reach success better, faster, quicker.
Interesting. I had a question for you that we'll go over later, but it was kind of about going outside of your comfort zone. So I'll love to hear your perspective once we get to that. Haven't heard of that book, but I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, you should. It's a good book.
So, who is your favorite authentic leader and why?
I think one that always comes to mind is Whitney Wolf, who was the CEO of Bumble. I just think like she did amazing things with her company, coming from Tinder. We all know that story, and then going to Bumble and making a huge success out of that, all while growing a family. And doing really amazing things like for women as well. So she is really a great authentic leader that I look up to.
That's awesome. Yeah, she is so impactful, and Bumble is just doing so well. So that's a great example. In your opinion, what does authenticity mean in the context of a leader?
Good question. I think being authentic is really just like being your true self, and I think people like your customers they can tell if you're not being authentic, and they can tell if the business isn't really being authentic. So it's pretty much always in your best interest to be authentic. Um, really like promoting good things about the business, like things maybe that you want to improve in the world, like in terms of sustainability or women empowerment. Just really have a mission that is authentic and be your true self when presenting yourself as a leader. And also, kind of to that point as well, people love having a face to the business that they can relate to the business. So if you are an authentic leader, it's even better to put your face on the business that people can relate to that as well.
Absolutely. Your personal brand is everything.
Yeah, totally agree.
What's one daily habit that sets leaders up for success?
Another good question. So for me, I go all over the place with daily habits. I'm really trying to find one that I think works really well for me. Um, what I've kind of been doing recently that I actually really, really like is doing daily affirmations and daily intentions every morning. So I write down, obviously, affirmations that I really want to achieve this year, kind of talking about as if I already have them, and then my daily intention. So, really, what I want to do with my day. So, whether it's focus on my to do list, try to be good to myself, don't be too hard on myself, whatever it is, and I write it down on a big whiteboard that sits in front of my desk so I can look at it every day, look at it throughout the day, and just remind myself of that daily intention and those affirmations. I think that really helps me kind of stay focused on my daily goals, monthly goals, overall goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Love the whiteboard concept and just, having those affirmations and setting your intention. It's so important and good to be able to constantly see that throughout the day. Love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, diving into some of the deeper questions, you touched on sustainability a little bit, but how can leaders actively embrace sustainability in their roles?
Yeah, it's a huge topic, and I think like obviously it's a really important topic now specifically. I think climate change and global warming, it's only getting worse, and I think every single leader, no matter what industry you're in, really needs to take this topic seriously. Whether you're in obviously like a consumer industry, so for us, like fashion, or if you're in like oil and gas, for example, agriculture. These are the biggest industries that really need to take it seriously. Or if you're maybe a B2B company, like a SaaS company or an HR company, there are ways that even those leaders can incorporate sustainability into their business practices. So obviously, the more you consume, the worse it is. So, for example, reduce the amount of paper that you use digital business cards versus printing out business cards, try to make everything digital instead of printing out things. That is like some tangible things and steps that you can take. But it is extremely important for every business leader to take this seriously now. And I think with like the modern day consumer, especially Gen Z and millennials and a lot of the younger generations, they are taking this much more seriously because it impacts them in their lives directly versus older generations where it wouldn't really maybe not necessarily impact them immediately, but it is impacting us younger generations. So we are taking it seriously, and we have the growing spending power. So a lot of businesses really need to start taking this more seriously.
That's such a good point, and it's so true, and we have the opportunity and the access to make things more digital now than ever, so we really need to take advantage of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what practical steps can individuals take to remain authentic in and outside of the workplace, in your opinion?
Good question. So I mean, I think times are like really changing now as well, like super quickly with social media. And like, for example, when me and you maybe just entered the workforce, like Facebook was kind of a new thing, and we would maybe make like these kind of ridiculous statuses that like probably aren't good for the workplace. But like I think now, like having a personal brand, like you mentioned earlier, is something that employers actually like look for, and they want to hire people that have like really strong, unique personal brands. Like for me, for example, we just hired a really brilliant marketing executive, and first thing I looked at was actually his personal social media account, and I just loved like his authenticity. Like he's super into aesthetics because you need to have all this kind of stuff to be successful at marketing. So I think using your personal brand and social media accounts and maybe being more of a thought leader on LinkedIn, it actually shows employers that you kind of know what you're doing. You're being proactive. Maybe you're taking steps to talk more about like topics like sustainability or topics related to the business. So I think it's like super important, and that could be a good step to take.
That's so true. And I don't think anyone has touched on that yet so far, but it is so important as you work on your personal brand across all platforms to really ensure that you're showing up in your best way and that you're demonstrating causes and impacts that you care about. And that does span against, across Instagram, LinkedIn, X, whatever you want to call it. So that's definitely important.
Totally agree. Yeah, and I think also like just growing like even your following, like you can show employers that I grew my following to 10,000, 20,000 followers. That shows potential employers or your current employer that you can create this following or like build a community. So it really shows people like tangible experiences and qualities that you have that you can bring to a workplace.
Do you have any tips? And I know this isn't your forte, so no worries if you don't. But do you have any tips building off of that on how to expand your following and grow your following across these
Yeah,
platforms?
yeah, definitely. I do have a couple of really close friends as well that they've done amazing things recently. They really grew their following to huge numbers, and I've seen it. I've seen them grow it from zero, almost zero, to like thousands of followers. And what I've noticed is they focus on a trend or on a really specific niche topic, and they're authentic. So they're super authentic. They show up as themselves. They're very transparent with everything that they're doing, so they don't filter their day necessarily. So maybe they post a story about like the lunch that they're making or like their day, and they're really authentic and they focus on a niche. For example, my friend, she's a Pilates instructor and super into wellness, and she really grew it super quickly. And she's doing amazing things now because she focused on that niche and she was really authentic with herself.
Got to know your
Yeah,
niche.
exactly.
Awesome. What specific actions can leaders take to incorporate risk taking into their leadership style? Kind of thinking through that, some people might say, oh, updating my social media is risky. How do you get people to feel a little bit more comfortable with that risk taking behavior?
Yeah, um, I think what I would say is do a bit of like testing. So maybe A/B testing. This is kind of coming from marketing backgrounds, but just you can really use it for anything. So, for example, yeah, like really building your social media profile. Like you can test doing a certain post one week and then a certain post another week and see which one performs better, and then like really start to focus on what performs the best. I think obviously that can help with risk taking. I think doing research as well into what your competitors are doing and what their leaders, the company leaders, are doing as well. That could be a good starting point as well. And also for me, for example, since I'm in a different region, I'm in the Middle East. I like to look at what a lot of US leaders are doing, and then kind of maybe taking those trends or using that as inspiration and doing a lot of that stuff here because a lot of the stuff hasn't actually been seen yet here since it is almost a developing market. So I can kind of use inspiration from other places and bring it here as well, which people really appreciate.
Yes, that's amazing. And I'm sure very helpful. Kind of building off of that, how can, do you have any advice for people looking to break into another country, to relocate, whether it be for professional development or to enhance their leadership skills? I know it's probably a kind of overwhelming and maybe even scary process, as well as exciting and exhilarating. Do you have any insights into that since you've done that? I mean, you went from New York to Dubai, traveling all the time. What advice could you give there?
Yes, I think just in terms of advice, so it is definitely nerve wracking, but it's exciting at the same time. I probably could have used a bit more planning before I did it. So I would say maybe plan a bit more just in terms of um, having your professional future plan ready to go, not only for the first like couple of months, which was kind of what I did when I came here, but maybe for the first year, 2 years, 3 years. And then also obviously like where you're going to live, like any visa situation that you need to get sorted. So like kind of these more practical things that I didn't really think about maybe before, but luckily everything worked out to my favor. But I would say that's a good advice to take. And then also, like for me, since I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, I was I looked at all the gaps that were in this market because again, it is kind of a developing market, and um, there are so many ideas that I had, and I picked the one that I was more passionate about. But you can also look at these other developing markets and think, okay, what are they missing that maybe other markets have, and then kind of use that as inspiration and go towards other markets as well. So you can really like look at gaps in the market in different regions and use that to your advantage if you are looking to move to a different country. But while it is nerve wracking, it's super exciting. So you kind of just have to don't plan too much either. You kind of just have to do it and kind of learn as you go. Another kind of fun aspect, I guess you can call it fun, is you always have to be on your toes. So like things work not super smoothly in the U.S., but it definitely isn't as smooth in other countries, which is kind of like the charm of living abroad. So you kind of always have to be on your toes and make sure you're ready for everything. And a lot of things that you kind of take for granted in the US, for example, it's a bit harder here. So, but it is very fun.
I love that. Yeah, it sounds like it's very rewarding.
Yes.
And if you do it right, you can have a very successful career as you've demonstrated and really make a life for yourself.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, you can really make opportunities for yourself as well. And like, for example, when I was living in New York, obviously the cost of living is much higher there versus if you do go to a different country, you can live for a bit of a lower cost of living. I wouldn't necessarily say Dubai; it's almost on the same level, but still, there's like kind of things that you can take that might be a bit cheaper. So then, therefore, that did allow me to become an entrepreneur here versus being in New York. So that was another benefit that I had coming here.
So thank you so much, Alyssa, for sharing your insights and coming on. It has been great to have you, and I know that your advice will be invaluable for our listeners. Appreciate you.